Hey guys, we're the Hard Time Strongman podcast, training up a better class of men. And today we are going to talk about the sweet, sweet sound of silence. But first, some housekeeping. Brandon, Ethan, thank you guys so much. Y'all keep the lights on. Y'all stick around for the post show. But it's the end of the episode. This week's episode is on silencing yourself and your equipment. Sound discipline. You know? I don't know. Maybe you don't. That's why you're here. So here you are. I'm really pulling at the edges here. I could really use some help. I've been throwing out lines, and you're just watching me suffer over here. So thanks for that.
Dude, I'm just listening to you not taking advice for the episode's even title, and you're just like continuing to just ramble on. I'm just like, what are you doing?
I want you to know when you do this, everyone else suffers too.
Do they?
All 12 of our listeners suffer. Today, guys, the episode is silence. There you go.
Yes.
Congrats. You dick.
Oh my God.
I hate you.
That was painful for me, so I can only imagine how it is.
They probably made a max of 30 seconds. There's no one listening right now. They clicked off.
So if you're still here, we're talking about silencing yourself and your gear. I don't know, like for those of us who are in the military, it's pretty self-explanatory when you say light and noise discipline. That is exactly what it means. Like, you don't want your light going out, you don't want to be making a lot of noise, and part of what makes a lot of noise, whether you believe it or not, is your gear. So
the whole thing with sound and light discipline is, if you are doing cool guy stuff with your cool guy friends, the enemy is going to see or hear you. So, especially at night, everything's more quiet. Lights gone dark. So, light discipline, obviously you don't want to be, shooting out a white beam of freaking light so everyone in the umbrella can see you. If you're looking at a map or looking at documents, it's going to be under a blanket or something with red light. Like, it just basic stuff, right? Make sure that all of your light caps are on, whatever. But specifically sound discipline, sound travels farther at night. It seems like everything else is quiet, so you could hear a freaking pin drop.
also, like,
But
how far can you hear crickets?
Dang it, I should have
birds.
I should have had the table. I should have pulled up the table. It must have been episode 2 or 3.
Oh, it was a while ago.
If you guys look back, yeah, it was situational awareness, the 5 senses. And I actually dipped into the FMs, and I found a table for like how far we can perceive light, at night under different conditions, and how far you can perceive sound under different conditions, like metal on metal, conversation, that kind of stuff. And it's pretty darn far. So this kind of thing is important. I don't know if y'all remember a few episodes ago, I once again told the story of, we had a light infantry dude who worked with us, and he said, y'all are so loud, and you don't think about it, right? At least that's not something that a normal person thinks about when they're just beep bopping around doing their thing. But when you are trying to, conceal yourself, conceal your presence, it's a big deal. So hunters know this especially well. It's a big deal when the thing that you're hunting is freaking on condition red, and they're just trying to survive, right? So if something can hear you, then you done screwed up, Aaron. So that's what this episode's for.
Yeah. So let's get into some of the way you can actually silence your stuff. Because I know in the military side, we know, not 90% of it, it's It's duct tape. Let's be fair. It's duct tape. You're going to be taping things together or taping things to other things.
Hella tape.
Yeah, hella tape. Hella 1,000-mile-an-hour tape. But there are different methods of I almost said taping things, but that's not what I'm going for. There are several different ways of actually silencing your equipment. So the first method of silencing your gear is compression. So when we talk about compression, we're talking about just using like compression straps or sacks on your loose gear uh, that's sliding around and bumping around in your pockets, pouches, or ruck. So the method of this is to just hold something to something else. It either binds everything together or it takes it and binds it to like your ruck. It just it's essentially just taking a tourniquet and wrapping around something
So
onto something else.
So, good example, right? So on our rucks, we had the sustainment pouches on the side, which
Mm.
were, nice, big, solid pouches on either side of your ruck. You could, throw all your odds and ends, all that stuff in there. However, when you were doing stuff, you had to cinch down because there were, I don't know what the connector is, but like where you feed 550 cord or uh, like shock cord through through the eyelet and then compresses it with the button.
Oh,
You can either open it or close it.
okay.
You know what I'm talking about. The cinch closer, like the cinch button, right? So you
Yeah.
have to cinch all that down. Uh, you hit your quick release buckle, strap that down because the thing is, if you put a little amount of equipment or stuff in that pouch and then you just leave it all loose, it's gonna flop around. It's gonna hit, it's gonna slide, and that's what's gonna be loudest 9 times out of 10 is just fabric sliding on fabric, right? So
Oh,
if you can limit that, if you can, torque down on those compression straps or like weave some 550 cord, behind the molly panel, then tie it down, it's gonna cut down on that stuff a lot.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's the same. It's throwing a huge tourniquet around your bag and strapping it to the back. It's not a move. It's compressed onto it. It's just you're not gonna make it down whatsoever. The,
But
the
yeah.
next bit is
Also, sorry, I
go
was gonna say one more thing. Another reason why I like compartmentalize my stuff in my ruck. So I'm a big fan of like the gallon Ziploc freezer bags, or you buy like standalone compression sacks or waterproof sacks. But compartmentalizing your stuff, getting it nice and compact, and just compress. Especially if you have like several quick release buckles or straps that you can cinch down on the sides, and then stuff those into the perimeter, into the footprint of whatever bag that you have. Then it's like stuck in there by friction. Then you can strap down the outside, and you have one, a much smaller package. Two, you're protecting your stuff individually, but three, you don't have a lot of stuff just beep bopping around
right.
that's gonna slide or hit, especially if you like try to go through a doorway or like through a vehicle. If you just smack the head of your ruck or a pouch or something on the side, a chair or whatever, it's gonna be loud. So if you can keep all that stuff closer to center, you'll be a lot better off.
And that's we talked about before in under episode, especially on rucks. I think did these was like don't want your ruck all big and bulky and like just like hanging out there. You want that thing as compact as possible because that's a lot of weight that hangs out on the sides and away from your body. You want that as close to you as possible. That way, it's not like pulling on you because that will seriously wreck your back if you're having to like readjust
Yeah,
and
it's not.
around. It's not great.
We're not 0304 anymore. We can do better.
So true.
Moving on. Uh, Taping. I am
How's the
a
Monarch?
huge proponent of taping your equipment. I tape the crap out of my stuff. Uh,
Yes.
Specifically, what I'm referring to is taping like your metal on metal contact points. whether
Your dog
that is in whether that's your dog tags, your ruck, your rifle, keys, or I mean, crap, man, you think of a thousand different things that are gonna be clicking together in whatever bag or pocket that you have. But all
Mhm.
this does is that whether this is, like you said, 1,000 mile an hour tape, whether this is ace wraps, hockey tape, Coban, a sock, whatever, you are just covering all this metal surface area so that when it hits something else that's metal, it's not going to make a huge sound signature. Okay, so what? Um a recent modification I did to my equipment was like my e-tool. So
Mm,
I took Coban,
tell
black
me it did.
Coban, and I
Mhm.
wrapped every single inch of it that I could that wasn't on a joint. And one, a lot easier for me to hold. Two, whenever I open it up or break it down, it's not
Clanging.
just you know tearing the place up. But I mean, hell, I've done that with like the connection points on my sling. I've done that, obviously with dog tags. I've done that with uh I mean, what, man? Different parts on your rifle. Anything that you can think of that's going to be metal on metal, you can tape it. And it's going to help.
Yeah.
Especially the older dudes with like the Alice packs, where you have like a metal frame. I tape the hell out of it. I'd tape the whole thing, even before you assemble it. I tape the whole thing. Why not?
So one things that my drill instructors hammered home during basic was on our assault packs. All those straps after you cinch things down,
Yes. Oh my
neck.
gosh.
So you roll those suckers up and you tape them once you get them like all the way up to the goal. Because for one, and this is my biggest pet peeve because I can't tell you how many times I didn't like in the airport traveling and somebody walked by me with like a freaking assault pack, whether they were in or not, and they got this like surplus or if it was like shoot to them, whatever. They walk by me and I just see these straps just like dangling, and something in me causes my eye to start twitching.
You just want to grab it.
Just want
It's
to yell.
mine.
I'm like, dude, tape your straps. Like, what are you doing? You look like an idiot. Come on. But no, like, so the main thing about that is, so number one, yeah, okay, it makes it look way more professional. It's not just like dangling and flapping in the breeze. But number two, this is probably the biggest thing, is it's not going to snag on anything.
Hmm. You're not gonna shut in the door. You're not gonna sit on it or stand on it or whatever.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Exactly. And you could be through the brush and it could snag on some trees and like all of a sudden it's like getting you back because
What?
it's on some freaking trees or whatever. Exactly. So
Well, and
that's
the thing is, there's no
the
point to
reason.
it. There's no point in them
Yes.
because
Yes.
like you said, when you're adjusting your pack for the first time, you can see how far you need to let the straps out before you can take it off. Right?
Hmm.
From that point, okay, if you're borrowing the stuff, like if you're in the army or LEO or whatever, yeah, roll it up and tape it, okay, because you don't want to pay for that. If you're not, if you bought that thing, cut it.
Cut it off. Yes.
Cut it, singe the ends, call it a day. Like there's no good reason to keep all that extra fabric. Um, yeah, I mean, I can't think of a good reason at all.
There's not, unless you plan on like completely like going like letting out that strap the entire way. There's no reason to keep the excess. You know how much it's going to take, like you said, to be able to successfully take that off. Like
Right.
at its worst. Have
And
the
I
rest.
know and I know people don't like to modify their gear. I know it freaks people out. Like I was messing with my uh pack the other night, and I could see my wife like kind of twitching because I was cutting off the side pockets, like I was cutting off the canteen pockets because I'm like I don't even use these and they snag on everything and it pisses me off every time. And so I was just like taking my razor and just going down, cutting him off. And she was just like, "But why? You bought that just like how it was." I'm just like, "Yeah, I didn't want to change it."
Uh,
Like,
well,
so I love when like being there when someone paints their rifle for the first time because I see a little part of them break and it really makes me happy.
uh,
Just
dude, I can't tell
just
you how
modify
it
your gear.
was.
Do it.
I can't tell you how it was for me to paint that 300 blackout. Oh, it was rough.
Yep. Yep.
It was very rough.
But you remember it's a
Once I
tool
got
now.
that,
You know what I mean?
yeah, oh, yeah. And once I got that out of the way, I had no problem painting my Grendel that has
Yeah.
radiant furniture. Like, no problem painting that.
Yeah. It's meant to be
And
used.
I literally paint everything. Everything in my
Yeah.
safe
It's
minus say,
not it's not a safe queen. Like I paint everything. The And it builds your confidence too. So like, I've talked about the Shusugi bond method of treating wood where you scorch it and seal it and everything. And ever since I learned how to do that, ever since I've done it to my first axe, any wood tool that I have, any wood handled tool that I have, I do it immediately. As soon as I bring it home, I
Mhm.
I scrape all the wax off, I scorch it, and then I throw some linseed oil or boiled linseed oil on it, and I call it a day because it's gonna hold up. The very first one I ever did, heavy use, and it's like life has not touched it. Like it's yeah, it just works. So there's no
That's
reason not
awesome
to.
because everything you did made the wood chemically inert, which is awesome.
Yep, I love it.
And yeah.
Third method.
Anyway, third method, wrapping. So uh, one method you can do is you can take loose, small pieces of gear or oddly shaped gear and wrap them up in socks, shirts, or any other fabric to keep the items together. This will prevent loud contact points and it'll help to fill void space in pouches or rucks. Because if you have never ranger rolled anything, you will
You're
never
missing out.
truly understand what it is like to fit as much stuff as possible into a fucking backpack or rucksack or anything. I If I opened up my ruck now, everything in there is ranger rolled. Everything.
Yeah, I love
I don't care how flat you make your clothing. It will, in my opinion, it will still take up more space than if you ranger roll them.
it. Well, and my thing is, like, you can throw a shirt, boxers, and socks in a Ziploc bag with everything Ranger rolled, and that's
Mm,
one day, and just
that's one day. Mm-hmm.
just stage it all. Uh, and I know it's a little bit of the tism, but it's a part that I'm guarding, so I'm gonna hold on to that. I don't care what anybody has to say.
Love it.
As far as like oddly
But
shaped stuff, I mainly threw that in the show notes because I remember on what was it? It was on my left side. I had the canteen pouch with the actual canteen cup, which if everyone's ever used a USGI canteen cup, it freaking sucks. Okay,
it's terrible.
it's a piece of crap. They never should have made it. But I used it to protect my nods. Only
Mm-hmm.
problem with that is that the canteen cup is metal and very freaking loud. So
Very low.
what I would do is I took one of my issued socks, I cut it in half. Um, I crammed the canteen cup in the sock all the way down, and then I folded the remainder of the sock inwards, like on the inside of the cup, so that the entire thing was encased in fabric. And then I could put my nods with the J arm and everything in there, and it wouldn't move around. It wouldn't be loud. I could just click the top on, cinch it down, and I was good to go. But you can do that for pretty much any batteries, any loose stuff like batteries, stripper clips. I mean, help me out here, man. What else? MRE innards, whatever. Yeah, any extra stuff that you have, you can do this.
And another of the good reasons why you did that, and I know why you did that, which is awesome, and I applaud you for it, is that um, as crappy and as old as those nods were, we still had to use them, and we're gonna have to use them. We might as well protect them and keep them, as functional as possible. So by putting in a fabric liner essentially into the canteen cup, you're not having metal slamming away against what other metal or even plastic or even glass lenses, because that J arm, if you got the crappy, basically eBay version that they handed out at CIF sometimes, or even your unit, like metal on plastic is going to damage that. So by having that liner in there, you're protecting your equipment from being damaged. And most importantly, you're protecting the eyepiece, the glass on either side, from being scratched on that metal.
Yep.
So there's no reason not to. There's This equipment costs, like, some of it, like, thousands of dollars. You might as well protect your investment. It's just
Yeah.
common sense.
1,000%. Did you have anything else for silencing your equipment?
Honestly, no. I just want to reiterate, and I didn't get the table pulled up in time, but sound does travel really, really, really far. There's been times in real life I've been walking through the woods with I've been out camping with friends. I didn't need a flashlight. They were at the campfire talking away. I could see where the light was from that. I had a general direction, and then I heard them talking, and just like talking like you or I, that stuff traveled so far. Coming back from
Oh,
getting
yeah.
water, I I knew the trail, but I didn't really need to know it. I just followed the direction of people talking, and I eventually found my way back to camp.
Well, yeah, I
Like,
mean, it depends on your environment. So like heavily wood
it's
area is not going to be, it's not going to travel as far over snow, over water. It's going to go far, way farther than you think. And also,
Mhm.
the whole thing is, so like we're really nailing down like metal on metal contact. That is going to be the absolute, worst. That is such a distinctive sound. Like you cannot mistake that when you're out and about. Velcro, hook and loop closures,
Oh,
super distinct sound. You cannot mess that up. Zippers, you cannot mess that up. So all these little things. So I would urge you think just like as you're beep bopping around day to day, whether you're in the field or not, just listen to yourself. What makes sound? What doesn't work? Okay, so we talked about compression, we talked about taping. Okay, so your keys. Okay, your keys rattle around in your pocket. If you have a lighter in your pocket, your keys rattling against your lighter in your pocket. If you have, big baggy jeans or like you wear scrubs and you have like these huge cargo pockets, if things are beep bopping around and slamming into things or slamming into doors or walls or whatever, like yeah, that's where that's gonna be the got ya spot is where stuff isn't contained, isn't, you know, hugged to the midline. And if you're over 30, you're screwed anyways, because your knees are gonna pop or your ankles or
yeah.
your elbows, and they're gonna
Knees,
hear you.
ankles, shoulder, neck, jaw. Yeah.
There's not there's not
Everything.
much that we can do about that. I kneeled down for too long the other day to talk to my 2-year-old, and when I stood up, my legs were numb. So it's going great for everyone who's wondering.
Yeah. Well, tell me about it. Uh, if I sit in bed with, like, my legs crossed for too long while I'm watching TV with my wife, and then I go to get up, yeah, my knee's locked up. And then I start bending it slowly, 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 and it just pops into place repeatedly. It is the worst
Literally
feeling in
last
the
night
world.
Literally last night I was talking to my wife, and I was, like, kneeling down, and I stood up about, like, 3 quarters of the way, and I just took a breath, I was like, "Oh, I hate this part," and then I, like, kicked my leg out, both my legs popped, my vision went white, and my wife's like, that's not healthy, right?" Uh, yeah,
Really? What
I'm
what do you want me
tracking.
to do about that? You know? What do you want me to do? Please,
Army.
I want to hear your freaking solutions to this problem, because this is a problem and I want a solution to it. I'm listening all ears.
Double knee replacement at 31. Guys, we are the Hard Time
Oh.
Strongman podcast, training up a better class of man. Patrons, stick around for the post show. Everyone else, thanks for joining us. This was Silence. Until next time, stay in the fight.
Stay in the fight.